Dominate is back, baby! With a little bit of twist and maybe a little bit of nerf, depends on how you look at it. This video is sponsored by Phoenix Pharos cards. If you need supplies of singles or splits for Cardfight Vanguard, especially the ones in the video, do check out Phoenix Pharos cards today, and as a bonus, use the promo code MetaNerd to get an amazing 5% discount. And with that being said, let's get on with the video. Greetings YouTube, welcome back to the MetaNerd channel. I am Marcus, bringing you another video for Cardfight Vanguard Willdress. In this video, we'll be going through the new Rideline for the Strike Deckset Shiranui, which of course is got everyone hyped up ever since it was first revealed, like I think 2 months ago or 3 months ago. I forgot exactly when Bushiroad first revealed Shiranui. Of course, as we all know that Shiranui technically has two different playstyle back in the days. One is After Image and one Dominate, which is the mechanic that Bushiroad decided to go into. Without further ado, let's take a look at what Shiranui brings to the table, or should I say re-dominate, how Shiranui re-dominate the meta. First and foremost, for the Rideline, Stealth Dragon Seizui. Although when this unit is placed by riding from Stealth Dragon Madui, draw a card and you get Demon Stealth Dragon Shiranui Oboro Crest. This grade 1 is basically like all of the grade 1 for each strike deck set that we have is the same skill. You basically, when ride on top of the starter, you basically draw a card, as well as set up the crest, which is very nice. Drawing that extra one despite going first or second is just really good. It helps getting pieces as well as helps maintaining the hand size, which I think stride decks in particular will need because they are kind of like a very late game deck. Of course, do keep in mind here is that this card basically is locking you into only be playing the specific starter, similar to how the other deck set function as well. So it's basically a dead giveaway that you are playing a stride deck set whenever you unflip the starter. Of course, we're gonna have to talk about the crests. All of the crests that stride deck set have are technically the same with just a little bit of a difference. The only thing that is basically the same is you can stride if you have this crest, as well as making your 11k Vanguard a 13k base, as well as giving 5k power for each face-up G unit in the G zone. Those are basically the same, and I would expect Luar to have the same exact skill, with of course with a little bit of difference. But yeah, this grade 1 is basically here to just set up the crest as well as draws you a card. Super good. Next, we have of course the crest. The first 3 skills are always going to be the same for all strike deck set, like I mentioned before. The only part that is different is the last skill, which is continuous during your turn. Your opponent's unit placed by your card's ability this turn and units dominated by you lose all of their original continuous and auto ability and get 5k power. So this crest is basically your license to stride. So from the past stride deck set, we already know that all of the stride deck set do have that very scary 5k for every G unit in the G zone face up. For each passing turn, that 5k power is just gonna stack like crazy. Unfortunately, this skill does not really carries forward to the dominated units, which is kind of sad. To be honest, it doesn't really matter because most of the time the dominated units will be the one to first attack the opponent before you even go to the battle phase. So even if the opponent does get a damage trigger, I don't think it's going to be a problem because of the power bonus provided from the G zone cards. It might hinder just a little bit if of course you are dominating more than one unit, but at the end of the day, the dominant units are still attacked just enough for a 5k guard. It is actually indirectly increase the numbers of attack that Shiranui can dish out, but at the same time, of course, the power isn't exactly very high, but it is high enough. Now, of course, since we all know what Shiranui Oboro's skill is, the Superior Call units by Shiranui Oboro's skill is able to get the 5k bonus from this Crest continuous skill. However, that's about it. So the next time you dominate that same unit, I don't think you will get the extra 5k because the skill isn't exactly an auto, it's a continuous, so it only activates once, which is quite sad. But still, at the same time, even without the power stacking, this deck is just gonna be on crack. By eliminating all of the continuous as well as auto abilities, it actually helps ease out any ruling dispute with the interaction of the opponent's skill, as well as some of the requirements to even activate the opponent's skill when you dominate them. So yeah, it's basically Bushiroad's way to just eliminate whatever skills that Shiranui may have access to, depends on who the opponent is, which I think is very, very nice, and it does reduce time it needs for a match between Shiranui as well as another opponent to finish. Otherwise, for every single ruling dispute between the dominance mechanic inside a match, it's gonna drag the game like really, really long. But luckily Bushiroad decided to just ignore all of that, which is quite nice. So that's basically the Crest, the bread and butter of the whole deck. Let's move on to the rest of the Ridelines. Next, for the grade 2, we have Stealth Dragon Genkai. Although when this unit is brought upon by a grade 3 with Demon Stealth Dragon Shiranui in its card name, you may call this card to Riga Circle. If you call a card, soul charge 1, choose up to 1 unit card from your opponent's drop and your opponent calls that card to Riga Circle. Second skill, Auto Riga Circle. When a unit dominated by you attacks, cost Counterblast 1 and that attacking unit gets power plus 10 until the end of that battle. This unit gets boost until the end of turn. Surprisingly, this card actually superior calls himself from the soul, which is very, very nice. And it doesn't really minus the soul count as much since he does soul charge 1, which is mandatory by the way if you decided to even call him. By forcing the opponent to superior call something from the drop zone, basically guarantees 1 unit for you to dominate to attack the opponent with. The whole counter to Shiranui at the moment is by not calling rearguards, and therefore the first stride of Shiranui is effectively a vanilla turn because there's really nothing on the opponent's board to dominate. So thanks to this Genkai here, for sure the opponent will have something in the drop zone. This card is basically here to just play around opponents that do not usually have a rearguard. Of course, since with the Crest being online starting from turn 1, whatever units that was superior call from the drop zone will not have the auto as well as continuous skill. The opponent is unable to abuse whatever on play skill that that unit has thanks to the Crest, which I think is a good thing for you as well as the whole game. Because once again, ruling dispute will drag the game forever. Surprisingly, Genkai is also one of the more important units to run inside Shiranui. Depends on whether or not the other support that within this stride deck set has countercharge. By paying 1 counterblast whenever a unit you dominated attack, you are able to give that attacking unit the 100k power until the end of that battle. Is really, really nice. It also helps hit over any damage trigger that you might have, the opponent might damage check into. While at the same time, Genkai getting the boost is just really, really good. This card is definitely going to be a 4-off in the Shiranui deck. He's just really, really good. Although Counterblast 1 to give the 10k isn't going to be very cost effective because the more Genkai you have on the field, it's basically 1 Counterblast for each 10k that you decide to give a dominate unit attack. Not really the most cost effective, and I think you might need to consider running like cards that basically countercharge. For example, Gojo or a Eugene support that does countercharge whenever your Vanguard attack hits. Yeah, those are the cards that you might want to run in Shiranui in order to get back some counterblast. Of course, you don't necessarily have to pay that 1 counterblast to give the dominated unit attack the 10k, but it is a really good power to give that attacking unit. Next, of course, is the boss unit for the stride deck set Shiranui Oboro. Auto Vanguard Circle. At the beginning of your ride phase, you may choose a card from your opponent's drop zone. If you do, your opponent calls that card to Vanguard Circle, and at the end of that turn, retire that unit. Second skill, Dominate. Auto Vanguard Circle. When your G unit strides, choose up to 1 of your opponent's rearguard, stand and dominate it, and until the end of turn, it gets 4k power and attack your opponent's other unit. This card is basically the exact skill of the OG Shiranui Oboro. The first skill is only live starting from turn 4 because when you ride Shiranui on top of the grade 2 Genkai, it is no longer the beginning of ride phase, and therefore this unit's timing is missed. But starting from turn 4, you are able to just force the opponent to superior call something from the drop zone, which of course basically just lets you dominate that particular unit to attack the opponent with. The free cost to force out an attack is just really, really nice. In case you don't know, the second skill, Dominate, doesn't really cost Counterblast 1 or Soul Blast. Whenever a G unit stride, you straight away dominate a unit as well as attack with it. So you can plan accordingly, depends on what the opponent check. The opponent may check an OT and you know your whole turn might just go to waste, but still it's more than likely your opponent will just guard the smaller attack before you go into the battle phase, because as we all know, thanks to the Crest, your columns are gonna hit like a truck, so there's really no point for the opponent to gamble on a damage trigger. The 4k power bonus from Shiranui's Oboro on stride skill is okay, but doesn't really do much in terms of magic number other than helping certain units that superior call from the drop zone or any existing unit on the field to hopefully hit over the damage trigger or whatever Vanguard power base that your opponent is. This 4k power does stack with the Crest power since you are kind of superior calling from the drop zone and the Crest does provide a 5k, a total of 9k power will be provided for whatever cards that you dominate. It's actually a 1k shy from hitting a magic number if you superior call a grade 3, which is quite sad. But still, having 9k power is just really good and basically just kinda borderline scamming the opponents of their hand, I would say. Very nice boss unit, and I'm not going to be surprised if Shiranui is going to be the meta of days to come. Next, of course, is the grade 4. We only know one grade 4, and for sure we have Shiranui Mokuro next week, I think. With Maguntenbu as the first stride, I think is really good enough already. Enma Stealth Dragon Maguntenbu. Of course, with the stride skill, we're just gonna go ahead and skip it. The dominant skill is active Vanguard Circle once per turn, Counterblast 1, and turn a card from G zone face up. Choose one of your opponent's rearguard, stand it, and dominate it. It attacks your opponent order unit and retire that dominated unit at the end of that battle. It basically just dominates one of your opponent's attack and then just attack with that dominated unit. Very nice. This card on the stride turn is allowing the whole deck to attack for a minimum of 5 times. 2 times from dominate units as well as your 3 columns attack. So at the minimum, this card could attack for 5 times. We're not really sure what Mokuro does at this point in time. We are not sure whether if it's going to dominate a rearguard or dominate the Vanguard. And if it is dominate the Vanguard, how exactly is that going to happen? Is it going to attack the rearguards or just attack himself? That's basically what it is. And there's a reason why I say that this deck can attack for a minimum of 5 times is because Vairina Esperadia is a thing and is usable inside Shiranui deck. A total of 7 attacks is going to be possible for Shiranui. This is not taking into the fact that Vairina Esperadia will be attacking with the power bonus of the Crest. So as turns goes by, Vairina Esperadia is going to keep increasing in power. It's just going to be disgusting. So yeah, a total of 7 attacks is possible, but at the minimum, Shiranui is able to attack for 5 times. Very disgusting. And the first rolling dispute that I see people on social media asking is on whether or not Obscudite, the Eva's husband, is able to get retired by this unit's skill because of the set order preventing the Obscudite from retiring. The answer to that is yes, Maguntenbu is able to retire the Obscudite because of player turn priority. Since Maguntenbu's dominant skill is during the user of Shiranui's turn, and the retire part comes at the end of the battle. But since Maguntenbu says retire that dominant unit at the end of the battle, before the set order even comes to effect, Maguntenbu's retire will therefore activate first instead of the set order. Just keep that in mind. Do let me know down in the comment section of what do you think about this ruling. I think Obscurite will be retired by Maguntenbu. Last but not least is the PG Stealth Dragon Utsuroi. This is basically like any other PG that we have currently in the standard. Of course, with the 2 or more, then you discard effect. Nothing really new except the fact that Sodo Doji for the longest time is using the trial deck PG. Since the trial deck PG does have stealth, this unit has stealth and has the skill that you don't need to discard whenever your hand is 1 or less. So nothing new. It's just this is probably going to be the replacement for a normal PG for Sodo Doji. Very good stuff. And that is all for this video. Do let me know down in the comment section of what do you think of the return of Dominate Shiranui. Do like and subscribe if you like this video, and of course during the bell notification icon so that you don't miss a video I upload. With that being said, I'll see you all on the field.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, go.